Hey free-to-play gang, welcome back to another video. So this banner dropped right out of nowhere. We did not see this coming, and we now currently have Regulus as one of our extra banner characters. So should you or should you not be going for Regulus? Let's discuss about this in this video. Now before we get into the meat and the potatoes, let's take a look at the difference between a CN banner and a global banner and how we can expect what the future might look like. As you can see on the left, this is the CN banner. You can see that those in red are the banners that we actually skipped. So we thought that the Voyager banner is going to come back, but no, Voyager did not come back. So in the global server, we actually skipped Voyager and went straight for Druvis, and then we skipped Lilia's banner and we went straight for Regulus. And from this trend, it does seem like we're gonna skip Anan Lee and go straight to Eternity for the next extra banner character. So this raises a very big question for me because I have planned ahead in the past, right? I hope you guys watched that video on why I'm skipping Pickles. I have planned ahead and I was supposed to go for the Anan Lee banner, but from what it looks like, we may or may not even be getting Anan Lee altogether, or at least not in the foreseeable future. It might take like a super freaking long time. And the reason why I was gunning so hard for the Anan Lee banner is because of both Anan Lee and Charlie in the same banner, which is a massive deal by the way, because I was lacking a star DPS and Anan Lee is just an amazing support, and I definitely do not want to miss this opportunity to get both of them in one single shot. But this list still hasn't changed, right? I am still lacking a star DPS, and what do you know? Regulus is a star DPS. So is Regulus going to be the DPS for me? And is this banner going to be the banner that I finally throw all of my Unilogs in? Let's discuss. So in order for us to understand whether Regulus is a good pick for me or not, I need to compare Regulus and Charlie because they are both star mental DPS. They do about the same things in general, but of course they have their own differences here and there, right? So let's start with Regulus Ultimate. We have Sleepless Rave. Mass attack deals 300% mental damage to all enemies and inflicts Riot and Roll status on all allies for 1 turn. Now what Riot and Roll does is dodges any non-ultimate attack, dispels the effect after the caster takes action. So using her ultimate is going to protect your team for about 1 entire turn, right? Now as for Charlie, she also does a mass attack, but instead of protecting your team, you're actually dispelling all kinds of buffs that the enemies have and are dealing about the same amount of damage as well. So comparing the ultimates of both Regulus and Charlie, they are kind of like very good at whatever that they do. I would say that they are equal in this case, right? So both of them are green over here. Now let's move on to their skills. So skill 1 of Regulus, Treat for the Ears, is just a single target attack that deals 500% mental damage. And as for Charlie's Thunder to Thee, it's also a single target damage, but if she is in any kind of buff, which is going to be very easy to achieve, this attack deals 100% more damage, which is a total of 550% more mental damage. So Charlie is dealing, or rather Charlie has higher damage multipliers on her first skill. Now as for their second skill, Regulus does an AoE attack that hits 2 targets for 275% mental damage, and if you score a critical hit, you then reduce the Moxie of the enemies by 2, or at least up to 2. And as for Charlie's second skill, she also has another single target skill, but her damage potential actually raises from 450% all the way to 600% so long as her HP is below a certain threshold. And this threshold would actually be increased with her portraits as well. So comparing just the skills of these two characters, Regulus does less damage overall, whereas Charlie does more damage, but Regulus has control, whereas Charlie is just all about DPS, right? It's just about whether she can deal damage or deal even more damage. Now as for Regulus, she is a mixed DPS, she has AoE attacks and she also has single target damage, but as for Charlie, she is purely a single target DPS in terms of just her basic skills, her incantations. Alright, let's move on to the insights that they have. So Regulus has a very powerful insight. So take a look at insight 1. If the caster has not acted this round, enters Restless Heart status at the end of the round. And what Restless Heart does is critical rate plus 50%, and any excess crit rate is then converted into crit damage. So her damage potential is going to be super high because she will definitely be like 100% crit very easily, and that translates to even more crit damage, which means that her damage ceiling is actually extremely high. Now her I2 also increases crit damage, which is in my opinion very rare, and as for her I3, after consuming Restless Heart, which increases her crit rate, she will then increase her Moxie by 1 as well. This is very powerful. This allows her to generate a lot of free Moxie because she only needs to attack every other round, and she's going to double all of her Moxie essentially, right? Now as for Charlie, her insights, they are not that impressive, they're not that crazy, it's just very basic, right? So her insight 1 really does nothing for her damage, it just reduces the damage that she receives instead. And I apologize, that's my cat. And she only gains a measly 5% attack on her I2. But as for her I3, whenever she has above a certain HP threshold, then her damage increases by another 20%, which is really good. So comparing Regulus and Charlie, Regulus does more damage, whereas Charlie does significantly less damage overall in terms of their insight. But Regulus is very inconsistent because you can only attack every other turn because of her insight 1. So she needs to be AFK for every other round so that she can generate the Restless Heart, which gives her an additional 50% crit rate. So she is not that consistent consistent in terms of dealing DPS, whereas for Charlie, she's very brain dead, right? Just attack, attack, attack. You can spam her attack every single round. It's completely fine. But one extra benefit that Regulus has is she's very AP friendly because you don't need to attack every single round, and you can benefit a lot when activating her Restless Heart to give herself extra Moxie as well. It's kind of same as like Pickles, for example, right? But I think one negative aspect of Charlie that I should also include is this. She needs to be within 50 to 80% HP, if not she's not going to benefit from some of her damage bonuses. So why this is the case, let's take a look at their portrays. So as for Regulus portrays, her damage basically just goes up across the board until P5, where the duration of her ride and roll actually increases by 1 round. For a total of 2 rounds, this is really good. Her P5 is very, very powerful. Now as for Charlie's portray, this is the reason why she needs to have at least P3, because Tempest to these effect changes to additionally deals mental damage when the caster's HP is below 80%, not below 50%, as you can see over here. So the thing is, she needs to be below 80%, and at the same time at I3, she needs to be above 50%. So she needs to be within this range at all times in order for her to maximize her damage output, which is kind of difficult, right? That's why I said this to be a negative point. It is kind of difficult for you to juggle this all the time. You might overheal, or you might also require a healer on your lineup. Now, let's move on to another very important factor, which is going to be their stats. So here on the left, you can see the stats of Regulus. You can see that her stats are really good, right? Her attack is higher than that of Charlie, and at the same time, her crit technique is just a lot higher than that of Charlie as well. So she has a total base crit rate of 17.2% at I3, whereas for Charlie, she has like nothing. She has 6% crit rate, 139% crit damage, which is nothing as compared to Regulus with 156% rather. So Regulus benefits from more DPS stats overall, whereas Charlie has just less DPS stats overall. This is very clear cut. However, because of the fact that Regulus needs to have a 100% crit rate, that means she has very little benefit with Tooth Fairy, because when you want to use a character with Tooth Fairy, your character should be well within the ballpark of about 60% crit rate, so that the rest of that 40% crit rate can be benefited from Tooth Fairy's Confusion debuff instead. Now the thing is, if Regulus has a 100% crit rate, Confusion debuffs and whatever debuffs that Tooth Fairy can bring has no value at all to Regulus, except for the critical defense reduction. That is the only thing that truly benefits Regulus, which is just like 15% more critical damage. So no benefit with Tooth Fairy. This is extremely important. However, as for Charlie, she benefits a little bit more, but the reason why this is white is because she don't really benefit from Tooth Fairy either, because her crit rate is just so low, and it might not make a lot of sense for you to build her with as much critical rate through her resonances, right? Because you're going to forego a lot of important stats. You're going to forego her attack, you're going to forego a lot of her defense, you're going to forego a lot of general sustainability just so that you can make room for more crit rate, which she is not really that well tuned for. So that's about it between Regulus and Charlie, and I do feel like they are both quite on par with each other. In terms of DPS, I think they are dealing about the same. In terms of usefulness, I think they are both about the same as well. I know Regulus is a little bit more AP friendly, but because of her AP friendliness, she's a little bit more restrictive, right? Because of her I1. But as for Charlie, it is just very simple, very easy to use, very brain dead glass cannon gameplay, aside from the HP threshold that she needs to follow. So I'm gonna put both Regulus and Charlie on equal footing. Now then, what changes between them, right? How do you decide between Charlie or Regulus? Now that would then boil down to the rest of the banner. So on the left, you can see this is the Regulus banner, and on the right, you can see that this is the Ananli banner. So it really boils down onto which support you prefer, but this is not Balloon Party, isn't it? We got scuffed so hard. We got scuffed so freaking bad. Like, if this were Balloon Party, then this banner would actually be whatever that I would have preferred. And the reason for that is I've already done the math. So the old strategy for me was to go for Ananli P1 and Charlie P5, which takes about 235 unilocks. But if we were to follow this current banner and we had Balloon Party at the same time, then what I would have just done is to go for Regulus P1, Balloon Party P1, and Ananli P1, which will only require me about 175 unilocks. So, mad rip. This banner right now is completely worthless to me, this banner, at least. I mean, I don't know about you guys. You guys can definitely go for this banner if you want to get a copy of Dig as well. That's completely up to you, but for me personally, that is not enough. If Balloon Party was in that banner, then I'll be a little bit more hyped, right? And we're not going to be able to benefit from this, so... So what I can expect from the future is that we're not going to get very similar banners. So for example, in the Ananli banner, which we may even avoid in the first place, right? Because we are going to be skipping every alternate banners over here, right? So we might actually lose Ananli's banner. But even if her banner does come back, it might not even contain Charlie, which is like the main issue in my opinion. So we do not know how to plan ahead. And all we can really see is whatever banner that they throw at us right now. But there are of course some good endpoints to this, right? So number one, we cannot predict what's coming in the future, which is really good for us because it gives us a little bit of fresh change. And it's not gonna be like, oh, we need to follow CN all the way, because no, the path is completely different right now. I mean, yes, the new characters, they're gonna come on time, but as for the side banners and the extra characters that come with the side banners, we cannot even tell anymore. It is completely out of the window. Nothing is set in stone. But like I said, I'm kind of excited about that because that actually makes me look forward to the next banner a little bit more than right now. So yeah, anyway, just to summarize everything, I will not be pulling on this banner even though it was supposed to be a really good banner, right? There's supposed to be some cost savings over here, but just because I don't need any of these two characters, it does not make any sense at all. So yeah, that's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to thumbs up. It really helps the channel, and subscribe for more Reverse 999 content. Now with that said, this has been Derek Free to Play, and as always, I will see you in the next video.